What's up, guys? I just wanted to make this video because I have a few concerns about sparkingzero based off of what we've seen in the recent gameplay trailer, and the Power vs. Speed trailer, and the Rivals trailer too. I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it. I'm just trying to be realistic about what we've seen, and that way I don't get my hopes up. The most obvious thing that comes to my mind is the super attacks are pushing characters instead of encapsulating them and making it feel like an explosion. The character is literally being pushed away. Like, it just takes, I don't know, it just feels like there's like no punch to the super attacks because of that. In BT3, when you get hit by a super attack, the camera shakes, there's loud noises. Like, it really does feel like you're getting hit by a super attack. Whereas what we've seen in sparkingzero, like, it just is honestly a dud in that aspect. And I'm sure, that's probably one of the main things that they're focused on fixing. I mean, it's the most obvious, and a lot of people are complaining about it, so I'm sure they will fix that. But I would hate for, the game to be released and for the super attacks to have that kind of impact. Another thing, like, I wish that Beam Clashes used button mashing instead of using the old Budokai 3 mechanic. And honestly, I really wish we could spin the analog stick, but I understand why we can't have that, because it's going to break people's controllers. But button mashing doesn't create that same problem, and it just feels a lot more interactive and immersive than the old Budokai 3 mechanic does. Also, during the Beam Clash, like, the camera spinning around is just really weird. And another thing is, the beams should be like literally struggling against each other, moving back and forth based off of who's winning the clash. But in the gameplay trailer, the beams are just like stuck in one spot hitting each other. So it's, I don't know, I think they need to fix that. And they also show a melee clash, I think, in the Power vs. Speed trailer. And I think that should be button mashing as well, rather than a Budokai 3 mechanic, because, like I said, it just would feel a lot more immersive. Another thing, I don't like the concept of the super perception skill. So, like, why would I use blast stocks to deflect a beam when I could just vanish or move out of the way? It kind of seems pointless, and you're wasting your blast stocks. If they're going to have blast deflections in the game, it should have a manual input like Raging Blast 2. It would just feel a lot cooler, it would feel more immersive, and it would make more sense to have that as an option in that situation. Because, like I said, I would have no reason to use up my blast stocks when I could just vanish or move out of the way. Another thing, the camera is dynamic and it's fun, and like, visually overall the game looks good, but like, regardless, I just think that the camera shifts around way too much, and I definitely like the way that Tenkaichi 3's camera works a lot more than what we've seen from sparkingzero. Another thing, the HUD is just honestly not good. Like, I don't have much to say about this. It just looks very basic and kind of soulless, honestly. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about is that the movement honestly just kind of looks different. Like, characters can't face away from their opponent, or at least that's what it looks like. And then also, dashing takes key for some reason, and I'm not a big fan of that at all, because you should not be restricting movement in a Tenkaichi game. Movement is a huge part of the online scene and everything, so if you're restricting movement, I don't know, like, it makes sense for bigger characters like Broly to be slower and for them to have a harder time maneuvering around their opponent. But they should still be able to move around freely. I mean, it's okay for them to be slower, but if I'm Broly and I run out of ki and I can't just do a basic dash, like, that honestly really, I think it's a dumb idea. And I think they should take it out of the game, and I hope they do. So, yeah, just do not, Spike Chunsoft, do not restrict movement. Don't do that, okay? I know the basic movement is faster, but I still don't like that a dash takes ki. And I also want to see more about how dragon dashing works in this game, because Dragon Dash maneuvers are an important mechanic in Tenkaichi 3, and I would honestly be really disappointed if we couldn't use it in the same way. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright y'all, so I got Tenkaichi 3 loaded up. I just want to show y'all a few things. First thing is going to be the Dragon Dash maneuver that I was talking about. And there's multiple variations of stuff like this, but I am not the most advanced player. I'm alright, you know? So I don't know all of the mechanics. This game is just really advanced. But the one that I do know, I learned from a tutorial video that Paige posted. And Paige, I appreciate you posting that video because it helped me out a lot. But let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do a charge smash, and I'm going to end up behind Omega Shenron. So let's check it out. Y'all see that? Like, we should be able to do stuff like that in Sparking Zero. And, you know, I mean, it's just, like I said, there's a bunch of different ways that you can manipulate Dragon Dash maneuvers to get behind your opponent. There's another variation of that called the Tracker Dash that Hawk invented that's not so, like, you kind of stay on your opponent, but you manage to get behind them. You don't really, you know, kind of go over the top of them like that. But, I mean, it's just a really good maneuver to know in online play. Let me show y'all a little bit more about the movement while we're here. Another thing, like, this was one of the things that I did like about the gameplay trailer. It looked like we saw a step-in barrier. So there's a point in the gameplay trailer where Goku and Vegeta are, like, I think they're basically at the ceiling of the map. And Vegeta's really close, and he goes for a punch, and then Goku, like, sidesteps him. So that does seem to indicate that there's a step-in barrier. And then also, whatchamacallit, Dispo shows it when he's fighting Trunks because he vanishes behind Trunks while Trunks is falling, and Dispo being in front of him basically catches Trunks, and so he can start up another combo. So stuff like that, I mean, it's just very important to have. I mean, on the surface, like, you wouldn't think all of these things are in the game, but they really are important to what make, you know, Tenkaichi 3 what it is. So, you know, the step-in barrier, it's only so big. I think I'm right on the edge of it right now, but if I go out, you know, I start moving around more freely, right? So that's another thing, which does look like they have that in the game, but they need to have that in the game. But, you know, you just need to be able to do, you know, flanking maneuvers like this, for example. I mean, this is very basic, but, you know, I'm going to go, but I use my momentum basically to get behind Omega Shenron, and you can do that on either side, whatever you want to. You just basically cancel your dash, like, right when you get to your opponent. So, you know, stuff like that. And there's different ways to manipulate the Dragon Dash. So, like, Dragon Dash has a slow startup like that, but you can manipulate it depending on, you know, which way your opponent is going. So, like, say if I was to hit Omega Shenron up into the air, well, I would ascend really quickly, and, well, I didn't do it right there, but basically it would cancel the, I don't know, just how slow the Dragon Dash starts off. So let me try to get it again here. I'm just going to do, like, a rapid descend. And so, yeah, so you see how, like, that is a lot quicker than just doing this. So there's some details, you know, with the movement that I want to see in Sparking Zero, and I hope they consider things like this. Like, I hope that they actually went through, you know, while they're making this game and played Tenkaichi 3 and just really got an understanding of it. But it really worries me because I feel like people who have been playing the game for years on end, like, they would know stuff like this, but I'm not so sure, like, that a big developer company would, you know, really get down to the details of, you know, what makes Tenkaichi 3 combat so good. I do want to point out some things that I saw that I thought, you know, was a good sign from the gameplay trailer. So, I mean, first of all, obviously, you know, they got a lot of the basic things right. You know, stage destruction looks great. The game looks great. You know, we've got Z counters. Like I said, there's a point in the gameplay where Goku sidesteps Vegeta when he's close to him, which indicates a step-in barrier. Like I said, the melee strings are identical to the old ones, so that's encouraging. And, you know, I mean, they got in-game transformations, a huge character roster, stage destruction, unique character interactions, beam clashes, blast deflections, and, you know, the visuals are great, but, you know, I'm just worried about the more advanced combat features from BT3 not being, you know, the same, and more specifically the movement. But yeah, that pretty much sums up everything that I wanted to talk about in this video, so I appreciate you guys checking it out. But, you know, hopefully when this game drops, it's the best Tenkaichi game there is, and, you know, we get to play it for 20 years because it's so fun.